gold down there, Diane. There's gold down there.
You're like their number one favorite guy. Because you won them cash. Hi and welcome to the Secret Golf Tour Report. Back again this week to talk about one of the most exciting weeks on the PGA Tour. Well, traditionally, it's going to be slightly different this year, but hey, isn't everything. Right, I'm Diane Knox and I am joined by Steve Elkington to talk about the Waste Management Phoenix Open and give you our picks this week. Elk, very quickly, going back to last week, and it was a Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines. It was an interesting week. That's probably one way to put it.
Yeah, there was a lot happened last week. You know, we talked about how it was going to be a difficult weather week, and it was. Mm-hmm. We saw scoring. One guy ran away with it a little bit at the end, but it was pretty close all week. We saw some of our picks that were played well all the way through the week. Overall, last week is about what you expect when you go to Torrey Pines. It's a pretty unpredictable week. We saw some unpredictable things happen with our leader. We can talk a little bit about that as we go along. But yeah, now we move back to the desert. This is the Scottsdale TPC course designed by Tom Weiskopf. This is a different set of circumstances this week. I always had trouble playing this course. The greens are very flat, hard to read. Seems like a lot of guys that play well here do it again, and we're going to talk about that.
Talking about that, and we do touch on the fact it's almost like horses for courses every single week. Ryan Palmer around Torrey Pines, he is one of the Secret Golf guys, and he finished second. Second time he's finished runner-up, actually, lost in a playoff in 2018 when Jason Day won. But the interesting thing about Ryan Palmer, I was looking back at his stats, and the two times he finished second, he opened with a 66. So obviously, around Torrey, you get off to a good start, which was super important last week because the bad weather really came in on the Friday. But Palmer was first in scrambling for the whole field. And I mean, we did say that was going to be such an important stat.
Yeah, Ryan Palmer is really interesting to me. He's one of these golfers that we hardly talk about. When he was sort of in the middle of his career, when things are supposed to be the best, he won some tournaments, but now he's gotten a little older and he really is emerging now as one of the top players. He's moved up an echelon into the Tour Elite, almost won at Kapalua this year, 2 weeks ago, finished second yesterday. He's just putting it all together, Diane. He has a great friend of ours that's caddies for him, the University of Houston golfer that was there long after me, but his wife had cancer. She got over cancer. He's so much about a tour player, Diane, is about balance in their life. And for some reason, Ryan Palmer has it perfectly right now. And he's literally moving up onto the top of our list every week. And he continues to do it.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about him a little bit later on. And also looking at our tour report for last week, we had ranked Xander Schauffele at number 2. And, we were kind of alone doing so because Schauffele is a San Diego guy, went to San Diego State, had never, ever he'd made the cut once, I think, in all his times playing the Farmers Insurance Open and didn't even finish great. So for him to finish in second place this year, that was massive for him. And, I mean, it was great to see him doing so. A shame that there wasn't the local crowd there to support him and to really root for him there. But at the end of the day, we're seeing such great play from him that was hardly surprising.
Yeah, Schauffele, the greens are so hard to putt. I read Mark Calcavecchia's tweet that he said just watching the golf made his nerves jittery, watching the guys on the greens because they're kind of spongy. So we always lean towards guys that live and grow up in California. Mm-hmm. To me, they always hit the ball a lot harder. Tiger Woods, Mark O'Meara, Alexander Schauffele, they all are much firmer on the greens than I was because I was always afraid it might go another 5 feet by. But putting Poana greens is an art of itself. And, of course, we saw Patrick Reed, who's an excellent putter, ranks number 1 on the PGA Tour. There's no surprise that the number 1 putter last week on the whole PGA Tour won the tournament. Schauffele was right there. Good to see him play good on his home track, so to speak. So, yeah, I mean, to me, Diane, there's an elite group of players of about 15 of them, and we talk about them all the time. And who's going to jump up into that a little elite 15?
Yeah. And then we saw two names who were in contention and then failed to get it done and move up on Sunday because they couldn't putt well, which seems to be the story of their careers right now. Rory McIlroy and Tony Finau. I mean, both missing short, makeable putts that cost them on Sunday.
Well, I just talked about putting on Poana, and of course, Rory McIlroy and Tony Finau. Of course, Rory's in another league of his own. Rory just has Sunday problems.
Yeah.
He had a Sunday problem in Dubai a couple of weeks ago. When Hatton beat him, he had problems yesterday putting. Now, Finau, he doesn't have as good a stroke. He has technical problems on the greens. And that's just something that Tony's going to have to work on and get better at. For him to be that elite, he's going to have to be better putter. I mean, I went through it. A lot of guys go through it. You've got to be better. So we're going to put all that into the mix and see what happens, see what we got for you this week.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about Rory again because he's playing the Waste Management Phoenix Open this year for the first time, making that big debut. But where does he feature on our list? You'll find out shortly. Right, so let's talk about TPC Scottsdale then. It's the stadium course. The picture behind me is it's not going to look like that this year because the 16th hole is, they call it the largest outdoor cocktail party, isn't it? I think it's now beyond a cocktail party. It's like total chaos. But this year, we are going to see some fans. This year, there's going to be 5,000 admitted per day. So 25% really. But I mean, it should make a difference. And the guys should have a bit of atmosphere to feed off this week.
Yeah, that beautiful picture behind you there is a triple decker. They only have one deck this week. They're limited on their crowd size. They would have somewhere between 100 and 150,000 fans on the golf course on one day. And for us, when we used to go out there, it was always amazing to see that many people there for the golf. But Diane, when I was a lot younger than I am today, that hole started with one little TGI Fridays tent back there, and people would scurry off there, get a beer, and come back to that hole. And the Thunderbirds, who is the volunteer group that runs this event, they used to have a cool band there called Duck Soup. And Duck Soup was right next to the putting green, and Payne Stewart and Peter Jacobson, we'd all walk into the tent. That was the original Bird's Nest, and listen to Duck Soup, Payne Stewart, and Peter Jacobson play their instruments, and it was just the coolest place ever back in the day.
This tournament is so iconic. I've never been to it before, and it's one that I've always had on my list. But the Waste Management team do so much to make this such a fantastic event. And, you know, you're wearing your green today. They do so much to keep the event green with recycling and obviously waste efficiency. It's one of those tournaments that if you've been to it, you rave about it and you want to go year after year after year. So this year, as we said, although it's going to be different, they're still going to keep that, and it's still going to be really entertaining for us to be able to watch on TV. Yeah,
Waste Management's a great sponsor, Diane. I've owned their stock for 20 years because why? They're the biggest and the best in recycling. They do everything recycle, and I love that. Yes. So I happen to have a friend of mine who is the Chief Marketing Officer, Stu Redson. Spoke to him on the phone this morning. He actually played the golf course yesterday in a select couple of groups of Waste Management. Told me everything I need to know about the course, so I'll be sharing with you on this show.
Okay, right. So we've got all that inside information. We're going to give you our re-ranked top 10, some Sizzlers, Fizzlers, and Dark Horse picks. And we'll be telling you how you can play against us on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app. It's all coming up on the show today. Compete against your friends on PGA Tour events. Win cash and bragging rights. Test your golf knowledge. Experience the success and failure of PGA Tour players. Man. SG Tour app is an engaging golf experience designed by professional golfers that created a variety of games, including single and multi-day games, as well as tournament-long contests. It's really simple. Join or create a game, pick 4 players, and win cash. You can even immerse yourself in interactive features, including course strategy, putt predictor, and daily content exclusively from PGA Tour players. The word is out and golf fans are catching on.
So don't miss out. Download the SG Tour app now.
It's one of the great weeks of the PGA Tour season for the West Coast swing, off to Arizona, TPC Scottsdale for the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Elk, did you always enjoy playing this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, it was almost, Diane, a guaranteed great weather, great scenery. Lots of girls, Diane, that looked like you at that tournament. And I used to put all these videos up in the locker room of all the great-looking girls around the – should we be talking about that? You need to know that. And even when you went to the restroom on the golf course, they had pictures of all the girls in the restroom. So all the tour players, loved going to this tournament. Very distracting, but no, it was fun. I do think, though, Diane, there is some desert specialists, and there's a couple of ones that have made our list this week. What does that mean? Guys that play well in the desert. Can they putt on these bright green grass behind you? That's ryegrass, and that's a particular seed they put down, Diane, that germinates at a very low temperature. It germinates at like 35 degrees, so they got it like a pool table. But underneath it is the regular grass, so it's sometimes very difficult to read the greens, and these greens are flat. And the way we've handicapped this week, Diane, we're very heavy on guys that play well here. And maybe that's why Rory McIlroy has been pushed back a little bit this week, because it's the first time he's ever going to see this course.
So going from Torrey Pines last week, and we know that the weather made things extremely challenging, especially on Friday and on that south course, which is a bit of a beast anyway. But am I right in saying that going from, a course the caliber of Torrey Pines to the stadium course at TPC Scottsdale, they're very different, and this course is overall not challenging?
This course has some challenging shots. This will be a low-scoring week. We have good weather in the forecast. It's going to be warm. Usually when it gets a little tricky in the desert, when it gets windy. I saw Phil Mickelson, I think, holds one of the records out there, 28 under. Mm-hmm. But there's no rough this week. The greens are medium-paced. They got good coverage with the grass. There's roll in the fairway. So they're going to pretty much destroy this course this week. But that being said, Diane, there's about 6 key shots that you have to hit well on this course to play the course well. Okay. And it's very difficult to handicap this event because anyone can play good indoor style golf feel 75 degrees on perfect turf.
Winning score last year from Webb Simpson was 17 under, and that's kind of usual. 17, 18, 14 under, I think, is the lowest we've seen it of late. As I said, Webb Simpson, the defending champion. Now, your friend Stu that works for Waste Management, he played it, and you were telling me he's like a 20-something handicap, but when it came to the rough, it wasn't going to be, it wasn't challenging for him, so it's really not going to be challenging for these guys.
He'll be disappointed I said he's a 20. I think he's a 14. I'll let him watch this show. I'll tag him on the video. But so I asked him questions. I said to him, if you hit it in the rough, could you hit whatever you wanted to out of it? He said, yes. That tells me there's 1 inch of rough. That's going to be no problem for the tour players. Did your ball run in the fairway? Yes, it ran. When you hit a low scurrying shot up to the green, did it bounce on? He said yes. So that tells me that they've got the conditions quite firm. Greens right now are medium pace. They'll be able to get those. They'll be able to get those down and get some nice speed. But basically, this is going to be a shootout.
Okay, cool. Right. Well, let's talk about the stats that we're going to be looking at this week. The one that we're ranking the highest is par 4 performance. Yeah,
Diane, how do you separate yourself on a course like this? How do you get to 20 under par, let's say, this week, 5 under each day? Mm-hmm. Well, we've got to get hot. We've got to play the par 5s good, but we've got to consistently play some of these longer par 3s, some of these longer par 4s, where we just basically make those holes easy. Okay. So you've got to drive it in the fairway. You've got to be able to hit your iron shots on the green and continue to keep the pressure on your scorecard. Get 3 under, then 4 under, and 5 under. Stay away from the bogeys.
Yeah, that's good advice. So par 4 performance, then we're looking at birdie average, scrambling, ball striking, which I'm going to get you to talk about, and then putting average. So that ball striking is like a combo stat that we put together. Ball striking is going to be super important this week, but what is that stat made up of?
Ball striking is a combination stats of driving it in the fairway and then hitting it onto the green from there.
Okay.
And I'm picking that stat pretty heavily this week because I do think you still have to hit it straight, Diane. You still have to hit it down there and get your ball on the green. So, yeah, I'm stacking my team this week on ball strikers.
Okay, I like that. Well, let's get right into our re-ranked top 10. We take the whole entire field, we shuffle them all about by the stats and by these intangibles. And the guy that comes up to the top, that's hardly surprising, he went to Arizona State. He lives out here. Jon Rahm is our number one.
Rahm's getting a little better each week. He signed with Callaway, played good out in Hawaii the first week. Had to skip the Bob Hope with an injury, came back and played solid last week, was leading the tournament through 3 days or right there. Yeah, he lives right down the street at Silverleaf. I just think he's one of these desert specialists. Fades the ball, keeps the ball in play, putting well. This is perfect for Rahm.
He's never finished worse than 16th here. And even in his last 3 finishes on the PGA Tour, including last week for the Farmers, 7th every single time. As you said, he's changed equipment. That's clearly not a problem for him. And do you know that he's about to become a father?
I did not know that. So
yeah.
That's another positive. That he'll have a great attitude. Sleeping in your own bed, Diane, we always felt like was at least a couple strokes advantage because you don't have to do a lot of homework going to this course. He knows how to do it. I remember when he burst on the scene at this tournament when he was still playing at Arizona State, and on the 17th hole is a par 4 that's drivable in 1, and this one day that was into the wind and nobody was getting to the green in 1, and I was on the green, and this ball came up on the green and ran right up next to the hole, and someone said, "Who in the hell hit that? That is a ginormous shot." And they said, "There's some kid named Jon Rahm, plays at Arizona State." And that was Rahm. And that was the first time I ever saw him.
That's amazing. Over a minimum of 12 rounds, they've taken all the scoring averages, and he's number 2 of all time. So, I mean, that in itself is impressive, and we can see exactly why he's number 1 on the list this week. The guy coming in at number 2, we talked about at the start of this show, he finished runner-up at TORY last week, and his form is unbelievable. I mean, we talk about these consistent guys week after week on the PGA Tour, and Ryan Palmer, I mean, his numbers are phenomenal right now.
I just think Ryan Palmer, is a good friend of mine. I just think he is where he needs to be mentally. We can sit here and tell you he hits it straight. He's a long hitter. He putts good. But more than that, Diane, he just is settled. Everything is settled in his life, and he is just playing some of the best golf. He used to be a kind of a weak putter, but now not anymore. He's right there in the top 15 in putting, and I just love everything about Ryan Palmer's game right now. 3rd
in birdie average, 6th in par 4 performance. That's 2nd place, as we said last week, and finished 4th just a couple of weeks ago as well. So the momentum for Palmer, for being, I hate to say one of the older guys on the PGA Tour, but he's out there rocking it, and it's only a matter of time, I think, before we start to see that convert to a win.
Well, he could do something tremendous this year. He could pop up and win a US Open. That's how good I like his attitude. But I wanted to say, Diane, when I start to think about how to handicap players, and I think of Rory McIlroy, who's had some problems on Sunday, that's sort of mental, or Ricky Fowler or Jordan Spieth, that's sort of mental. There could be some physical things, but I cannot stress you when you have a player that has the attitude like Ryan Palmer has, and he's got a good game to go with it, that attitude, how does that push you up the board? And I'm just telling you, attitude on the tour is so important. Okay.
Coming in at number 3 is the guy that when we look at current form, he rises all the way to the top. And another consistent name week after week, we have him in our top 10, Xander Schauffele.
Yeah, Schauffele is a great swinger. I love that he only gets coached by his father, and so he has no outside influence. He doesn't need a lot of drama with, equipment or guys looking at TrackMan. His dad is his coach. The only other guy that has a dad as a coach is Justin Thomas, and he's probably a slightly better player than Schauffele. So I just love everything about this guy. Probably the best thing, he swings it good. And he keeps things simple when he speaks, and he performs. He's a highly tuned performer.
Yeah, big week for the ball strikers around this course as well. Last year's winner coming in at number 4, and we've talked about him time and time again. It's hard to think of anything new to say about Webb Simpson. But yeah, we have him ranked at number 4. He's 5th in scrambling on the whole PGA Tour, 8th in par 4 performance, defending champion, ticking a lot of boxes.
Yeah, Webb Simpson, you know, when you think about what do you got to do to play good in Phoenix? You know, how do you play it? You know, we just knock it down the fairway. You don't have to do anything crazy. Knock it on the green, make a few putts, and you'll be in there. You know, guys that are visiting the desert, guys that are, you know, missing a bunch of greens. That's not Webb Simpson's game. Webb Simpson's kind of mediocre looking swing. I don't care what anyone says. It is. It's not the prettiest swing, but he doesn't really hit it out of play. And he's tough. The guy is tough. He wins tournaments, US Open, Players Championship. The guy is tough as nails, and he just gets it done. And I think he birdied like the last 3 holes last year to win the tournament. So he's great.
Okay, right, still to come on the show, we're going to go through the rest of the top 10 and give you our sizzle picks for the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Welcome back to the Secret Golf Tour Report for the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I'm Diane Knox and joined by Steve Elkington. We're looking at the field and giving you our top 10 in the re-ranking. So our number 1 this week is Jon Rahm, 2 Ryan Palmer, 3 Xander Schauffele, and coming in at 4 Webb Simpson. Now, Elk, we looked at the all-time, the best stroke average around TPC Scottsdale and the stadium course, and the guy that comes in at number 1 has actually won the tournament twice, 2 years in a row, for Hideki Matsuyama.
You know, Matsuyama has won the tournament twice, as you said. We all know he has that real distinct pause at the top of his swing, and he hits it straight. He's not a great putter, but he's won this tournament twice. And I often ask myself, why does Matsuyama play good at this tournament? Or why does so-and-so play at this tournament? Well, he must feel good almost on every hole when he steps up on it. I was playing my home course yesterday, Diane, and the 17th hole at my course, it's very hard for me to hit the fairway because it feels terrible when I get on the tee, and there's no reason for that. But I think of golfers that play well the same place, and Matsuyama probably putts better than he normally putts at this tournament. Why is that? Greens are flat. I don't know, but he's got to feel good on this course. He's a super swinger. So I'm putting him right where he is right here this week, Diane, number 5, because I just think he's going to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, there are places where guys are going to go and outperform their stats, and this seems to be the course for him. Interestingly enough, actually, 4 of the last 5 years have gone to a playoff. He beat Ricky Fowler in a playoff for one of those wins. He's been champion here in 16 and in 17. So we have Matsuyama and that amazing scoring average at number 5 this week. So coming in at 6 is, well, here's a name that's shrouded in a little bit of controversy right now. It's going to be good to see him back playing on the PGA Tour. Justin Thomas.
Yeah, Justin Thomas, you know, I've always said to you, Diane, that he is the biggest force on the tour. Now, there's some other guys that are, you know, expose their will onto a field when he gets there, but Justin Thomas is the sort of fireball. He is there to win. No messing around with him. You know, his record on this course is not unreal, but I just think he's had a lot of things happening to him recently. I just think it's time for him to get back to golf, do what he does good, and get after it.
He finished 3rd here in 2020 and in 2019. And as you say, every week that Thomas tees it up, he wants to win. And he's got to look at a tournament where he's finished 3rd 2 years in a row as being one that's really attainable. But with everything that's been going on with Justin Thomas, I was going to say off the course, but there was an incident that happened on the course and there's been a lot of repercussions. Do you think that has affected him mentally in that he's maybe not going to perform to the usual standard this week?
I hope it's past him. I think he's done everything he could with that. And I think it's time for him to get back to golf. And he's got his whole future to look forward to. This was just, one thing, and he's handled it. I think he's done as good a job as he can, and he's just got to get back to golf. This will be probably easier for him with no fans. He won't have the 25,000 people at 16 that he may worry about what they're going to say to him when he come up there. I don't know. Point is, it's just time for him to get back to golf.
Okay, yeah, couldn't agree more. Coming in at number 7 on our list is Daniel Berger. And we talk about making birdies. Scoring is going to be low this week. He is 6th on the whole PGA Tour for birdie average.
I like Berger's game. I have. If you watch our show, you know how big I am on how much he squashes the ball. He's got a great strike on the ball. Someone like Sergio Garcia, great iron player. Berger is one of those players, and he putts good, and he's confident, and he's been playing well. So there's nothing stopping Berger from doing well this week, and that's why he sits right where he does.
He has been playing great. We have him ranked as 4th in current form, coming off finishes of 7th, 10th, and 23rd. And he had a win after the return of golf. He's been playing solid ever since then. So it's really good to see him. He's I always think of Berger as one of those like young guys that you would put in the same category as Fowler, as Thomas, as Spieth. They're all friends, but it's kind of his time to move up.
Yeah, he was the one that came back when the pandemic hit and won at Colonial. Very difficult course, sort of real ball strikers, Hogan's Alley, they called it. That dynamic, you just said it, Spieth, Fowler, Berger, Thomas, that thing has changed. It used to be Spieth was the boss. Now Thomas is the boss. And even Smiley Kaufman, he's out of that group. So the momentum of that group has changed a little bit, but hey, they're all young, they're all strong, they're all, great players. So, but Berger's his own man. I think Berger, if I'm him, he doesn't need to be second fiddle to those guys.
I love to see it. So the next guy, this is going to be a fun one to talk about. We've got him 8th on our list. And when you look at his stats right now, this is one of those examples where we don't throw them out the window, but they're not as relevant. We're looking at the way that this guy has played around this course before, and his finishes have been amazing. He was 3rd last year, 4th the year before. And when you look at the best scoring average around the stadium course, he is 5th all time. Bubba Watson is coming in at number 8 this week.
Yeah, when you so much on our show, we talk about really solid putters. Well, Matsuyama and Bubba Watson aren't that good at putters, but they do really good here. Mm-hmm. And my inkling is these greens are really flat, and a lot of guys read too much into them, but these guys know how to do it. Now, Bubba Watson's left-handed. Does that help? Oh, I don't know. But he hits a big curve. He slices the ball and hooks the ball. And this course has room for him to start the curve. There is some trouble on this course, but he's so strong and hits it so far that he can curve it. And obviously he knows how to play it. He does so well here. Honestly, Diane, I think there's room to be an average putter on this course if you can hit it good from tee to green.
Okay. He's got the highest odds for the whole top 10, actually, tied with Ryan Palmer, who we have ranked at number 2 at 40-1. So at 40-1 for Bubba Watson, looking at how he's played this course before, those are great odds.
Yeah, and I think he just signed a contract with a clothing company last week. He'll be feeling his attitude should be good. Obviously, he knows how to play this course. No, I like that a lot at 40-1.
Sungjae M is coming in at number 9. Another guy. What more can we say about Sungjae M? Because he plays every week. We have him in our top 10 pretty much every week because he is just one of those consistent ball strikers on tour.
Well, we talked about, that combination you talked about, Diane, about ball striking. Well, Sungjae M would be the leader on the tour at ball striking, tee to green. And we've already talked about how you can get away with being an average putter on this course. How could you do that and get to 20 under, Elk? Someone would be watching the show would ask me that. Well, you just hit it close about 4 times a day with the 7-iron like these guys do and play the par 5s good. It can still be done. these flat greens, medium pace, there's no runaway speed. There's room on this course for average putters, and there's 3 of them for you right there. Bubba Watson, and Matsuyama occupy 3 of the top 10 spots, and they're average at best putters.
Mm-hmm. And Im is 30-1 this week. The guy that completes our top 10 is 11-1. It's hard for this one because it's his first time playing this event, and we have said that his form has been good, but just not good enough, especially when it comes to that final day. Rory McIlroy comes in at number 10. Elk, he's so many people's favourite this week, but not ours.
Well, Rory, yes, we've already spoken about on this show where he had a bad weekend in Dubai and he had a bad Sunday yesterday. But I'm betting everything in my analysis, Diane, that Rory won't win this week because he won't know these greens. I know these greens are flat, and a lot of these guys know how to putt them, and he just won't know. There's some underlying grain in there, and this just takes time to learn it. And honestly, I just don't think he's playing good enough on Sunday. He has not put away the demons on Sunday, and it's just not going to happen this week.
From me watching him, and I watched most of the coverage last week, but on Sunday he missed a few short, silly putts that really cost him. But it seems like his wedges are just not dialed in right now. He's just not, he hits it so far down the fairway, but he's not capitalizing on that with his wedge play.
Yeah, who knows what's going on with Rory McIlroy. He had a weird drop that happened that people are talking about that happened to him on 18. Mm-hmm. Was it really plugged? That'll weigh on Rory a little bit. If players are thinking that he took an illegal drop and he has to defend himself, that's a weight on someone like Rory McIlroy.
Yeah,
Patrick Reed doesn't seem to bother Patrick Reed that he was in that sort of same rules decision there. But, Diane, there's too many strikes against Rory. Great player, great striker, hasn't played the course. How could he possibly know how to putt the greens on Sunday in these tight locations in the corners that everybody else knows what they're going to do?
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair. Right, so our full top 10 then for the waste management this week: John Rahm, Ryan Palmer, Xander Schauffele, Webb Simpson, Hideki Matsuyama, Justin Thomas, Daniel Berger, Bubba Watson, Sungjae Im, and Rory McIlroy. Coming up, we have 3 Sizzlers. We've got great Sizzlers this week. I'm excited about these guys. All good odds. We'll give you a couple of Fizzlers, the big name guys that we don't think are going to go out and win this week, and then those all-important dark horse picks.
Compete against your friends on PGA Tour events. Win cash and bragging rights. Test your golf knowledge. Experience the success and failure of PGA Tour players. Man. SG Tour app is an engaging golf experience designed by professional golfers that created a variety of games, including single and multi-day games, as well as tournament-long contests. It's really simple. Join or create a game. Pick 4 players and win cash. You can even immerse yourself in interactive features, including course strategy, putt predictor, and daily content exclusively from PGA Tour players. The word is out and golf fans are catching on. So don't miss out. Download the SG Tour app now.
It's the Secret Golf Tour report for the Waste Management Phoenix Open this week, a week that we all look forward to on the PGA Tour, of course. We know it's going to be a little bit different this year because there's not going to be that crazy mass hysteria on the par 3 16th, but we're going to have a couple of fans out there, 5,000 a day.
Yeah, it's going to be nice to sort of feel a bit more normalcy out there, Diane. I have some friends at Waste Management. It's a Houston company. They're all excited. They've got their Pro-Am set up. They've got the players. They've got the best field. Funny enough, they have the best field they've ever had at Waste Management. And a lot of people think that some players skip this tournament because they don't want the hoopla. And they think that the best field is coming there this year because there is no hoopla. So they'll have to address that probably next year. So we'll see.
I think last year, and bearing in mind this will happen right before the pandemic really hit, but last year I think it was the craziest it's ever been. It was very overhyped anyway, and I think with how social media progresses year after year, we probably saw more of it than we've ever seen before. But I agree with you. I think some of the players who don't enjoy that are going to see it as such a positive this week.
Yeah, they just skipped the event. And of course, I think it was last year. Was it last year, Diane, where Gary Woodland played with young Amy, and Amy fell in love with the whole world when she played the 16th hole with Gary Woodland and made a putt. And then we saw it later in the year with Gary when he won the US Open. It was just the best story that happened on one of the coolest holes. And, you know, that's great stuff.
Yeah, they had her there 2 years in a row. And yeah, as you say, they just do so many things right at this tournament. And even with a lesser number of fans, we're still going to see all of that this week and a lot more. Right, we normally call this the Fizzlers. We always think that's so harsh. But we've got a couple of big names that we are not picking to win this week. And you always have to look at the big names in the field. Some people are just so attracted by that shininess, but the first one we're going to go with is Brooks Koepka, because Elk, last week at Torrey Pines, he missed the cut. You're just seeing something in his swing that is not working right now.
Yeah, I'm a big Brooks Koepka fan, you know, and he's missed 3 cuts in a row. You know, he spent most of the year last year on the sidelines with a torn patella, and I don't even know if he had it fixed, but it went into a hip deal. And now his swing, Diane, I'm not going to get into specifics because if I do, everybody will text me to tell him, why don't you fix it? But it's not what – he's got 1 or 2 positions in his swing that I have never seen before. I saw him almost break his driver over his shoulder last week just in total sort of frustration of what's going on with him. But he can't hit the ball straight. And until I see this position that he's got to fix, Diane, I am selling his stock right now.
Okay. That's fair. As you say, he's missed the last 3 cuts too. Matthew Wolff had a terrible week last week. He played the first round of the Farmers Insurance Open, 7 over, then he withdrew. But watching Matthew Wolff, it was painful to watch at times because he was just hitting it all over the place. It was as if he had no control over any part of his game.
Yeah, he withdrew. Matthew Wolff did on Friday's round, or didn't play. Withdrew after the first round. I think it was 7 over or something. So I can't put stock in that right now, Diane, because I don't know if he actually has an injury or he just was fed up with his game last week. But, you know, when I think of my swing, and I was keeping my swing on track, you know, my swing was pretty orthodox. And I start to think of Matthew Wolff, who's one of the great rising stars on the tour, who has the big loop-de-doo and it drops into the slot. And it's one of the most beautiful things ever when that happens. But is it tough for him when he has the big loop-de-doop? And how does he find that when it gets off slightly? Mm-hmm. And maybe he's off. So I'm selling that stock this week too.
And then the third name is, and it pains us every week. And we'd said this last week that I can't wait until the day that we can say that this guy's a sizzler and he's moving up our ranking. But today is not that day for Jordan Spieth.
Well, you know, the talk with Jordan is he left, you know, he went from Cameron McCormack, or they talked about it. He went and saw Butch Harmon and they worked on it. I thought I saw a bright spot last week, Diane, with 3 under in the first day, but he was unable to make the cut the second. I'm more concerned with his interviews than I am his swing, because he talks about, oh, I wish I could go back to being carefree. I wish I could play like a kid. I wish I could do all this stuff. And to me, he's just tied up, Diane. He's got swing problems. He's got confidence problems. He's not putting good. So everything is just still not settled in Spieth camp.
What a frustrating time when these guys, you can't pinpoint one thing. You think about Koepka too. It was like, oh, he's injured. There was one injury that everyone talked about. And then it came out there was another injury. And there's just things that are wrong right now. And it's hard for them to get over it. Well,
we talked 15 minutes ago about one of our own players, Ryan Palmer, who doesn't have any of that going on in his life. He's so centered and his life's settled. He knows what he's doing with his swing and his attitude is excellent. And just everything is doable. If I make a bogey, I'll probably birdie the next 3 holes. With Spieth, Koepka, Wolf now, everything's a question mark. You question yourself. I used to do it. I would question myself, everything I'm doing. So until we get that thing settled down, I'm selling the stock right now, Diane.
Okay. So there are some bright sparks, and these are our Sizzlers this week. We've got 3 names that are really moving up in the ranking, and especially for a couple of them, form of late has been amazing. Our number one guy, when we look at the best scoring average around the stadium course, which we have really done this week, and we've ranked that highly, he is 4th. He's also coming off a top 10 finish a couple of weeks ago at the American Express, but Ben An is our first Sizzler, and he comes in at number 11 in our re-ranking this week.
I'm very big already, Diane, on how you play this golf course. I've told you earlier there's some desert specialists. Ben An has the 4th best stroke average on this course. Bubba Watson has a great stroke average. Matsuyama, they've all moved up in my list this week because they play good on this course. Not everybody does that. So, yes, this is a tremendous opportunity bet-wise here. Great odds on Ben An.
Yeah, 100 to 1. And our next Sizzler is 100 to 1 as well. And he played incredibly well around Torrey Pines. On Sunday, he was right up there in contention. I mean, he made it look so much easier than a lot of people and ended up finishing in 2nd place. Henrik Norlander.
Not many people know about Norlander, Diane, but he, when I look at the list of the PGA Tour, he's in the top 8 in ball striking. And last week, with all those good players playing last week, I think he was 5th in ball striking last week. So that tells me he hit it good all week last week. He drove it straight. I think he was 7th. Hit greens. I think he was 5th. So coming to this event will be a piece of cake coming from that hard golf course, very long. I talked to Jason Duffner and Pat Perez. They struggled on the weekend, Diane, because the course was just so long for them. Longer irons, of course, they're in their 40s. But Norlander's young, hitting it good. What should his attitude be like this week? Should be super. He should be able to really play well this week.
And par 4 performance, he's 21st on the PGA Tour right now. But the next guy we're talking about is 1st on the PGA Tour for par 4s. I mean, he knows how to make birdies. Another guy we've talked about a lot. Okay, he's coming off the back of a miscut, but before that he'd finished 11th. Russell Henley.
I am always looking down my list, Diane, at who is number 1 at a certain category, and Henley is number 1 in par 4 performance, and that is going to suit him well here this week. And I just think that he's got such good value, such upside. He's played good enough in the last month to be able to drag himself out to Phoenix with this stats and go, hey, this is perfect for me.
He's so good around the greens as well, 4th in scrambling, and sometimes it can be the putter that can let him down a little bit. But with the greens being flatter this week, then he could put it all together.
Yeah, we've talked a lot on this show about what it takes to do well at this course. I'm looking at that hole behind you. Was that hole right there, by the way, I'll get back to Henley in a second. With that many people on it, used to be quite nerve-wracking. It's only 150 yards. It's just no more than an 8 or a 9 iron. It's probably, if all the fans were not there, you'd probably think, well, this is kind of a weak hole. But it's a very interesting golf course. There's 2 par 5s on the back 9 that can reach into 17th, a drivable hole. I'm putting stock in guys that play these holes. He's the best on the whole PGA Tour at par 4 performance. So I'm putting stock in this guy this week.
I want to talk to you quickly about the 15th hole, because the guys must start to hear the roars from 16 when they're on 15. And over the years, 15's been such a pivotal hole. I think Matsuyama, when he won, the 2 times he won, I think he birdied that hole pretty much every single day. But what is it about 15? How important is 15 when you're approaching 16?
Well, 15 is a par 5 that's reachable pretty much by everybody, but it's got water all the way down the left side off the tee, and then it's got an island green. So if you do hit a really good drive, you're probably about 215, 220. For these guys, it could be anywhere from a hybrid shot or a 5 iron. So it's an eagle opportunity, but yes, you can make a disaster there as well. And we've seen that happen too. No, I think you're aware. I mean, 16 is a very exciting place to come through those stands, Diane, and come out there and see the infrastructure they've built there is so awesome. It really is like being in a stadium, and it's cool. and they boo you when you hit a bad shot, and they cheer for you when you make birdie. So it's fun.
It's got to be almost like TPC Sawgrass for the Players' Championship and 16 before you get to 17 and the Island Green, because it's got to be similar to that in that you've got the anticipation coming up and the fact that you're starting to see and hear those crowds.
Yeah, and right there near your left arm is the 17th tee, which is the drivable par 4. So that almost has as many fans up at not this year, but on that hole too. So that it's a very exciting part of the golf course right there, and the driving range is right over here. Everybody can hear what's going on when we're practicing.
My brother, Russell Knox, he's always said to me, you need to come one year, because the cool thing about being Players' family is you get to walk inside, like along the fairway with them. But he said the fans traditionally would have printed out bits of paper that they would pass around, and they would have like facts and things about all the players. So they would like shout the good things, but they would shout the bad things too, and everyone knew.
Yep, there's no mercy at 16 at WM Diane, and that's cool. I mean, as we've noted already, this is the best field they've ever had, and there's a reason that there's a lot of guys playing this week that didn't want to be at this event with all that going on. So good for them. They're in the middle of a pandemic, and they've got the best field they've ever had.
Yeah, we're going to see a little bit of it this week as well, hopefully. Right, Elk. So the SG Tour Golf Gaming app, we're gonna start this going. We're gonna start a weekly leaderboard between us, because I did see at the weekend that you won some money, and I'm happy for you, but it's a bit of a rarity these days, let's be real.
That's hard for you to say. You have to I want some money. I know it is. No, we're gonna start a new deal, kind of like the football, where we're gonna sort of pick our teams and we're going to go against one another. We're going to have an expert guest or a celebrity guest come on and play us, and we're going to track it and see who is the best.
Yeah, so we'll keep a leaderboard going, and it'll be you and myself and Jay Kaplan, who's going to be on the show soon to talk about his picks and his dark horse picks, which always do relatively well. We won't mention last week to him. Well, we will. But yeah, as you say, we're going to have a guest on each week, and we'll kind of keep the guest total running as well. But if you're not part of this already, then you can get involved on the SG Tour. It's in the App Store. You'll find it on all your iOS devices. It's so easy to do. You sync up your PayPal, and you can play public games. You can create a private game to play with all your friends too. But I mean, it can be as little as $10. Put that money in. You pick 4 guys from 4 different tiers based on their official world golf ranking. I mean, you can pick the guys that we're telling you about, or throw in your own little surprises. And then it's cumulative of the whole tournament. And basically, lowest aggregate score wins. It's its own little leaderboard like the PGA Tour.
Yep, and I think the key, of course, is get 4 players that are going to make the cut for you, because if you have one that misses, you have to take an 80 and carry him on the weekend with an 80 each day. So the key, of course, as we all know, Diane, is get 4 guys that are going to make the cut.
A new feature on the show that we're going to run every single week, and it's called the Secret Golf Celebrity Showdown. Now, it's on the SG Tour app, and well, basically we're going to pick a tournament long 4-ball team. We're going to go against each other. First of all, Elk and Jay, my 2 compadres on the show week after week, I think it's time that we spice things up with a little bit of a friendly competition.
Well, of course, Diane, we consider ourselves experts in these fields because we have our own show and we know all of these tour players and caddies. But we've invited a special guest on today, Ryan Balaji from Golf News Net. He is also very good at picking players to do well in tournaments. So it's an easy game. You can download the SG Tour app, sync it up with your PayPal. This is a $10 game to win the top 3 prizes. And we're going to let Ryan Balaji go in the app today and pick his A, B, C, and D, and we're going to break it down with him to see if he actually knows what he thinks he knows.
Oh, Ryan, so the pressure's on you more than anything this week.
Being called a celebrity is a lot of pressure, first of all, and then I have golfers on top of it.
Well, we're going to have a leaderboard week after week. So as I said, I'm going to go up against these two guys and we're going to see who does best throughout the course of the PGA Tour season. But you are representing the celebrity category. So you've got to set the tone. You're starting off for this team.
Yeah, I don't need to dig a hole for everybody who comes after me. Let's start at least on the middle floor. Maybe would be a good aspiration for this week.
Right. Very quickly, tell us about Golf News Net because, when I'm ever looking for information about like a field for a PGA Tour event or the payout structure results, whenever I Google it, Golf News Net is the first site that comes up and it makes me happy week after week.
Well, that's by design. I mean, the whole point of Golf News Net is to try to deliver information that golfers and golf fans want to know with very little BS or fluff in between. So we love to talk about facts, data, analysis, kind of looking into the history of the game, like you guys do on this show every week. And we just kind of put it in written form for people, and including our fantasy picks and fantasy model that we do each week at golfnewsnet.com.
Okay, see, so you're good at this. You're actually setting the bar pretty high, isn't he, Elk?
Yeah, and of course we have in the blue over here, Jay Kaplan, who is just the legend at picking the long shots in tournaments. So I know he's sitting on a couple of secrets. Jay, good morning to you. And are you got your picks lined up? I know you do on the back end.
Elk, thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here and to bring sort of the dark horse angle. And of course, I guess I kind of look at this as a celebrity roast. So I'm really happy to have Ryan on here. He's not an easy target because he has a lot of knowledge, but we'll see if he can sort through this mega field this week.
Now, the game is actually public. We're calling it the Secret Golf Celebrity Showdown, public game on the SG Tour app. So anyone can go and play. That means you can go up against us with a 4-ball tournament for the Waste Management Phoenix Open and see how your picks fare against ours. Now, we're going to do the top 3 payout structure. So $10 to enter, and 1, 2, and 3 will all cash in. Right, I think we need to get right into these picks. I mean, the 3 of us, Elk, Jay, and I, we spend the whole show talking about our picks. So we're not going to give ours away right now. You've already heard us talk about so many guys that we're big on this week. But Ryan, I know you've got your phone, you've got the app loaded up. We have 4 tiers, A, B, C, and D, based on the official world golf ranking. And we're going to get you to dive right in.
My A pick is Webb Simpson, which may not be especially original. He is the defending champion. He has a really good record on this golf course. He is fundamentally solid. He finishes with frequency in the top 20 and pretty much anywhere on the PGA Tour that's not outstandingly long, exceedingly long. This is an exceedingly long golf course at TPC Scottsdale, and he's been playing solid golf for the last 18 months. So I'm kind of hard to argue with the guy. There are probably a handful of players you'd love to see, but I think among the ones that are the ones I would consider, I would think Webb Simpson probably is my favorite.
We talked about Webb Simpson on this show. I think he actually graded out as number 1 on our show, and we moved him to about number 5 just because we're tired of seeing him at number 1 every week because of his statistics, and you explained it perfectly. We think that Webb Simpson is not an impressive-looking player, but he's impressive when he puts his score down because he's not a long hitter. He curves the ball right to left, and he putts good, and he plays desert golf good. So, yeah, it's a solid pick. Jay, there's no bones on Webb Simpson.
No, there isn't, but you're right. Every week he's like, for us, we have him at the top. It's hard to argue picking Webb. It's a pretty good field this week. The data supports Webb Simpson, but we say that every week, and he does finish top 10, so it should be good. When you're making your A picks, number 1, you got to make the cut. Number 2, you got to really have this guy score. So good, solid. I'll give you a safe pick on that, Brian.
And of course, this is a peer-on-peer game, so you're only playing against the others in the game. This is not like other sports where you're going against 10,000 people. This is a game amongst us, so you've only got to beat the other people's teams. So yeah, Webb Simpson is solid all the way across.
Yeah, we have him at number 4 in our re-ranking this week. And yeah, as you say, that consistency is always hard to see past him, especially on a course that he's won on and only last year. Okay, Ryan, it gets more interesting as we move down the tiers and you can find some real hidden gems, but let's go with B.
Ryan Palmer is my guy. I love watching Ryan Palmer play lately. Really, for the last 4 or 5 months, he's been playing great golf. And I know he kind of goes through these periods where he plays great golf and then not quite as great golf. But when he plays great golf, it's kind of hard to argue with him, and it's really easy to overlook him. So from the perspective of trying to find someone that may play well that not everyone else in this game is going to have, that's someone you want to think about. And whatever kind of fantasy game you're thinking about, you want someone to kind of pivot to that maybe not everyone is thinking about. Obviously, Ryan Palmer gets thought about here, but I think he's just a tremendous pick.
Well, we never see past Ryan Palmer, do we? And that's why we've got him ranked at number 2 in our re-ranking this week.
We talked about Ryan Palmer yesterday, Ryan. We talked about how important the mental game is on the PGA Tour. Keith, I talked about how important the mental game is on the PGA Tour. And when you think about Brooks Koepka, Rory McIlroy, Ricky Fowler, who there's some turmoil going in, whether it's their swing or it's their form or their equipment or whatever. But Ryan Palmer has gotten better with age. And I think whether it's his wife getting past a health spell last year and his appreciation for, he's a little older, but his attitude is so good. And I've got to tell you that transfers over, because if you make a bogey, he's likely to come back and make 3 birdies. But Ryan Palmer has gotten better. He used to be a kind of average putter, but now we see him, he was right there leading the tournament at 85-1 at Kapalua. He finished second again last week. Ryan Palmer is a stud for us.
This is a great pick, by the way. I mean, he's coming off a great week in San Diego. And when we looked at his numbers, 25th in ball striking, 3rd in birdie average, we know he's going to score. He just seems like he's hitting the peak of his career. So, for us at Secret Golf, we know him so well. I mean, we're not going to be surprised if he walks away with a major this year.
I think
this might be one of those things. Right. This might be one of those years where he kind of sneaks in and maybe walks out with a PGA or a claret jug too. So,
well, he has to feel so good about the US Open, bearing in mind that's 2 second-place finishes around Torrey Pines, and yeah, obviously it's going to be set up differently. But that guy, the thing I love, and it just reinforces something I love so much about the PGA Tour, is that Ryan Palmer is 44. He's one of the when you look at his results and his play, he's one of the biggest names right now. And then you think of Joaquin Niemann, who's up there too, one of the hottest young guys, and he's half of his age. And you've got these 2 guys week after week just posting incredible scores.
Plus, he's a Texan with that accent. He just seems like you shouldn't mess with him. He just seems like he's going to bring his pistol ready to go every week. So it's a good pick.
Okay, we
I
like
already
it.
know Ryan's team's already shaping up already here, by the way.
It's pretty good.
I hope the golf celebrities that we're going to approach to come on the show, they're going to be feeling happy right now without even knowing it. Okay, Ryan, moving on to the C tier.
The guy's straight vibing. DB, Daniel Berger.
Daniel Berger.
13th in the world. He's been playing some of the best golf of his career. He's played well in this event, even in the more lean years of his relatively young career. So he likes the golf course, plays well. The attitude of his, I think you kind of see it in a lot of the picks that I make. His attitude toward golf and the ebb and flow of a golf tournament is just perfectly suited for the PGA Tour, and frankly for this event in normal conditions. He just doesn't seem to ebb too high and too low. He kind of plays it as is, and with the talent that he's kind of finally maximizing, I think. I love him in this group.
I almost saw the color drain from Elk's face there when you mentioned Daniel Berger because he's so big on him as well.
Oh, I love Berger. He's a great striker. He has an interesting swing action where he cocks the club on the way back, but then he cocks it more on the way down, a la Sergio Garcia. And what that does, it puts a lot of force right into the ball, gives him very consistent striking. Berger, it's always funny, Ryan, when we talked about this on the show yesterday, when we used to have those guys, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Marley Kaufman, and Daniel Berger used to go on holidays, and there was a different dynamic. Now that whole dynamic's changed. Who's on top now? Is it Berger, or is it Thomas, and Spieth's down here, and Smiley Kaufman's gone? I mean, it's interesting to see, but Daniel Berger, to me, I said it on the show yesterday, is his own man. And of course, he won when he came back and played at Colonial. And I think he's one of these guys that's going to step in, over the next 2 years on tour and, take over.
Ryan, you clearly have studied our chart. I don't know how you got your hands on our formula, but we're going to do some research into your celebrity lab and the minions you have working for you, because you are spot on, dude, with your picks. 6th in birdie average. The guy's coming in playing great. We have him ranked 4th in form. He's finished 7th and 10th in his last 2. Like, dude, you are like right out of the gate on this thing.
Yeah, I'm
to the D player before you tell me I did a good job.
Okay, well, see, Jay's excited for this because this is his forte, to find a bit of a wild dark horse pick. And remember as well, if your guy misses the cut, then that's marked down as them shooting an 80. Regardless of the course, the tournament, they're down for an 80. So, I mean, you need your guys to make the cut, and that's where the D flight is kind of exciting.
See, the game is relatable. See, I mean, anybody like me shoots way over 80. So I kind of feel like I can get in this thing and perform my normal round, right?
Of course, we know the tournament this week is at the TPC Scottsdale, Tom Weisskopf design. I've already spoken to some guys that have played the golf course. There's not much rough. The course is sort of firm. The greens are perfect. There's got a good weather forecast, no wind, no cold weather. So we're looking at 20 under to win this tournament, 5 per day. This is a hard course. This is a hard field to handicap because it's a good field. It's actually the best field they've ever had, which is actually disheartening for Waste Management, the sponsor, who I'm very close friends with, because they've got players coming there this week that don't want to be with the crowds, and they're enjoying it. The idea that the six not packed with 25,000 people. But so let's talk about your D player, because this is going to be the decider on how your team stacks up.
I jumped out the window with Patrick Harrington. I know that might be a little surprising. He's 40 years old. He's getting close to the Champions Tour. But in 2 starts on the PGA Tour this year, T26, T32, so he can still make cuts. He finished great last week in Dubai on the European Tour. Similar style setup, desert golf, firm golf course. You got to take chances at Emirates Golf Club. He was in it. He was in the top 10. So, and he contending against guys like Paul Casey and Sergio Garcia, who, are younger than him, but they're no spring chickens either. So I still think Harrington can keep up, and I think he can get to the weekend.
Oh, I like.
He was a sponsor's choice. He was a sponsor's choice this week from Waste Management. Maybe because he's Ryder Cup captain. You've already taken research across the pond into Dubai to handicap this thing. You've given me a slimmer of hope with your pick today with Patrick Harrington, because I think I've got a better D than you. So we'll see. But I understand your thinking, Ryan, on picking Harrington.
Ryan, I don't know how one man can make 3 genius picks and then totally wreck his roster with picking old-timey European that's going to come over and get lost in the field. Next time, send me a message and I'll help you with those D picks so you can really compete during our app week, because Patrick Harrington is out of, we say left field. He's way out of left field, but I like how you've gone out on a limb. That's about as much of a compliment as I can give you on that one.
They can't all be safe picks, Jay. What kind of fun is safe all the time?
Well,
what's Harrington's odds at Vegas this week, Diane?
Jay, do you have
he's 200 to 1.
Okay.
And so maybe, he'd qualify as a dark horse possibility, but he might be the darkest horse I've ever heard of for somebody.
Oh, come on. 200
See,
We're not in Michael Kim territory here. So, there's a bar there.
It wouldn't be right in the Celebrity Secret Golf Challenge if there wasn't some controversy. And I've got my 4 that I'm thinking about. I know Diane and Jay have theirs. We are going to enter our 4. You are able to change your team all the way up to we call it the shot clock goes off, but we're going to seal Ryan's because he's made it here publicly on our show. I do like you picked Patrick Harrington. Maybe you'll position yourself for some Euro tickets to go to Whistling Straits. Do you have some straight angle into Harrington? Is that where you're at here?
I mean, we're fellow Irishmen, at least by bloodline. So, I saw the flag waving and thought, you know what, I'm going to get behind the Republic today.
Okay. And as Alex said, we're allowed to change our picks. Yours are locked in now. But remember, anyone can join this game. It's a public game on the SG Tour app. It's called the Secret Golf Celebrity Showdown. You don't get to see everyone else's picks until the tournament actually starts. So that's why the three of us are a little bit shifty. We'll keep things we'll keep it under our belts, and then we will see how everything goes. But we are going to have a leaderboard running, of course, week after week. And Ryan Valenty from Golf Newsnet kicking it off for the celebrities.
Thanks for having me. This is so much fun. I love the banter. I appreciate the feedback, Jay. We'll see if I get back to you on Harrington.
I'll text you.
I'll have my people call your people when I get the trophy.
Compete against your friends on PGA Tour events. Win cash and bragging rights. Test your golf knowledge. Experience the success and failure of PGA Tour players. Man. SG Tour app is an engaging golf experience designed by professional golfers that created a variety of games, including single and multi-day games, as well as tournament-long contests. It's really simple. Join or create a game, pick 4 players, and win cash. You can even immerse yourself in interactive features, including course strategy, putt predictor, and daily content exclusively from PGA Tour players. The word is out and golf fans are catching on. So don't miss out. Download the SG Tour app now.
So to finish off the show each week, we talk about our dark horse picks. And well, this week for the Waste Management Phoenix Open, Jay Kaplan is back to give us a couple of names. You can give 2, I'll give 1. Normally, Jay, we're like bigging you up at this time, but last week was not so fantastic.
Diane, I'm licking my wounds. I think Waste Management is a good follow-up because my 2 picks were complete trash last week. And I feel like after staying up all night, which is the reason I looked away, I'm exhausted, I'm beaten down. But as a good player, I'm ready to get back to it and tee it up this week.
Okay, well, we've already heard your picks for the 4-ball game that we're doing on the SG Tour. So we'll see who you throw into the mix here for the dark horse picks. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Well, you went first last week and I was 0 for 2. So I got to change it up and I'm demanding that I go first. It's my honor. So I'm going to kick it off this week, and I usually do 2 picks. This guy's been playing really well, and you and I always go back and forth when we're sort of scouting our chart. And I threw this guy's name out. You gave me the eye roll and the side look like he's not a dark horse. And what we've come to the conclusion that you're very hypocritical. Like when the odds are in your favor, it's fine. But when they're in my favor, apparently I'm out of my head. Okay. So this first pick, I love shot maker. As you know, Elk has we've weighted this track this week as a ball striking track. He's 36th in ball striking this week. Scrambling, not so great, but that's okay. He's pretty accurate. Putting average at 43. So he's going to score. His birdie average is around 40. My first dark horse pick is Cameron Tringali.
Okay. And I mean, his form is good. RSM Classic, kind of before that Christmas, New Year break, he finished 3rd, 18th last week at the Farmers Insurance. So Tringali, the only reason I roll my eyes is because I'm like, he's playing well right now. We featured him a lot on the show. So I don't think your dark horse pick is that wild.
I think you rolled your eyes because you have a bad attitude. But whatever, that's fine. I forgive you. 140 to 1. That's good. Like 140 to 1. That's good, yeah. So 140-1, those are great odds for a dark horse. And, sometimes it's like a name you recognize or a guy that's been playing well. But when Vegas says 140-1, that's a tremendous value. So roll your eyes all you want. Keep throwing that rolly eye emoji my way. I'm going to send it on back with a different involves one digit.
I'm not rolling my eyes for your next pick because I know that he's 400-1. So I'm all about that.
Oh, so that's okay. So he is 400-1. So this guy finished strong last year towards the end of the year in the fall season, finished second at my chance to win. He's won before. He's a young guy, 81 in ball striking, which is middle of the road. If you just look at his numbers across the board, he should be 400-1. 127 in scrambling, 95 in putting up. There's absolutely no reason to have this guy as a dark horse. I just have this weird feeling that this is the week Aaron Wise hovers in contention. And if he doesn't, I'm taking this and I'm ripping it out and I'm going to come up with my own formula.
Okay, I go with that. He can be a little bit streaky with his results, but when he's having a good ball striking week, as you say, at Mayakoba finishing second, and this is a ball striker's course, so the magic could happen for you, Jay. I'm rooting for you.
I'm not sure I believe you. It's sort of disingenuous, but I guess I'll take it.
Okay, well, my dark horse pick is, I guess, in between your odds, 225-1, and he is coming off. I was looking at his past performances in this tournament, and over the past 2 years, missed the cut twice, so I kind of stopped looking then. But when we look at his stats, and especially that big stat we're looking at for the ball striking, 45th on the PGA Tour, which is pretty good. But some of his other numbers are amazing. 18th in scrambling, and he comes in at 5th for par 4 performance, which we're ranking really highly this week. Now, the reason I picked him is based purely on these numbers. He jumps up 64 places in our re-ranking this week, all the way up to 14th. And at 225-1, I think Austin Cook is a brilliant dark horse for us.
I like him. And again, I've some reverse psychology on you. When you said you were going to pick him, I'm like, oh, look who's going for a known quantity all of a sudden. Yeah. But you know what? It's your money. Do what you want to do with it. I'm going to put my faith in you. And boy, that was a build-up right there. It was like a 5-minute build-up of a dark horse pick. Very dramatic.
Okay, thank you very much. So our 3 dark horses are Austin Cook, Aaron Wise, and Cameron Tringali. So a good bit of value there. And hopefully our picks help you this week for the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Looking forward to seeing it with a bit of fans. It's going to be exciting to see some atmosphere. 5,000 a day. We know that we've got the Florida events coming up where they are going to introduce some more fans as well. So hopefully it's a sign of things to come. But yeah, it's going to look a little bit different to it has in previous years, but that's all right. We're looking forward to it regardless. So don't forget, you can play along on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app this week. We will have public games open. And now that we've started our little league, Jay, we will update the leaderboard next week and see who does best out of you and I, Elk, and Ryan Ballingy. And we're going to keep the guests going as well.
I'm looking forward to being at the top.
Okay, with dark horse picks like that, I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, follow along on our YouTube. We will be updating as the tournament goes on, and of course keeping you in the loop when it comes to the leaderboard and how our picks are doing. And then follow us on all the social channels. We're Secret Golf for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we'll be back next week for Pebble Beach. It's the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. A little bit different this year in the fact that it's not a Pro-Am, but we're still going to see that iconic course, and we will give you our picks then.